The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, welcome back to Am I Mental? Weekly live podcast where real people share real stories about living lives with mental health issues and events that impact mental health. I'm your host, E. With us, as always, is the co-host, Bexy.
Hello.
And our latest co-host, C.
Hello.
And we have our guest, Nini, on tonight. I'm sorry. Name dropped already. Boa. I screwed up. I didn't even make it a minute into the show and I screwed up. Okay, we got Boa on. And but before we get started, just want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for all your support. We are a year in now, and seriously, you guys are phenomenal. If you want to help us to grow, by all means, share episodes with others. Especially ones that you find that resonated with you or might resonate with others, especially others who are having, go through something. On top of that, if you want to help us grow even further, you can always donate. You go to amimental.net/donate. There's a number of ways to donate, and we also have a Teespring store, so you can buy some merchandise, which also helps us out. Other than that, like, share, follow us, subscribe, whatever it takes, whichever platform you're using. In the meantime, without further ado, Boa, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what we're talking about tonight?
Hi. So I'm just talking about something that happened to me about almost a decade ago. So it's weird because when E first talked to me about it, I was like, whoa, that part of me, I don't even feel like that's the same person anymore. So, but he was like, hey, it's your story. He was there for it. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just try to put my memories together and think back, because that was who I was and part of who I was becoming. So even though it doesn't feel like it's me anymore, that did happen. But basically I went through, I guess you could say, a suicide attempt, not quite all the way, but enough to get police involved and end up in a hospital and psychiatric center. So it was a bit crazy at the time, but he kind of helped me through it. He was one of those people that I was like, hey, I talked to his son, and I'm like, this is something I'm committed on. I have no idea how I'm going to go through the suicide attempt, but it's something I want to do, in the sense of I just want to end this misery. I don't see there's any point to life. And, I guess as a teenager, of course, you're not thinking through too much. But it really felt like no one at the time.
And I just remember that when you called my son, I just remember him laughing a little bit and then say, "You're kidding, right?" And then just something about his tone. I think he actually started to take it seriously is what really alerted me, because I was driving. I pulled over and I just told him, just give me the phone. Who are you talking to? Give me the phone. It's like, you have never been in that place. You won't know how to talk to this person.
Yeah, it was weird. At least, talking to some people on the phone, because most people, when you're going through that kind of stuff, they don't mean what they say. And maybe I'm petty and hold a grudge, but I still take offense to that 10 years later. The people that are like, don't do it. There are people who care about you, we're there for you. And I'm like, that's bullshit. You only say that to prevent someone from doing that. And, when you're going through that kind of phase, those words don't really reach you unless it's someone that is really genuine about it.
Right.
So
it actually pushes you to be even more committed to go through with it.
You're like, just you're only saying this to me at this time.
Not really? You care? Well, let's just see if you show up to my funeral, and let's see if you care then. That's the mentality.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's you can tell after the incident happens who actually cares or who just says that stuff to be, I don't know why, part of the crowd or feel like they contributed somehow. And that just felt like really offensive, like people who said that to me during the time. And then a couple years later, I'm like, I'm not friends with those people anymore. I don't talk to them, not because we had a bad falling out, but it just shows that you don't care about reaching out or staying in contact about that kind of stuff, which, I'm not as empathetic as like Bexy, but at least when I say something like that, like I mean it. So I really didn't have too many people at that time. And it's weird because it was always people that I didn't think I was too close to. Like besides E, I had a friend I knew from 5th grade that we coincidentally met up again at the same high school. And he was like pretty serious about it too, but we didn't talk much. So I was like, oh, maybe he was one of those people. And it turns out it was E and him who called the cops. They later apologized. I'm like, oh, sorry about that. But we cared enough to have to do that.
Yeah, I promised that I wouldn't because I knew that would, if I said I was going to call the cops, I was afraid it was going to push you over the edge. But I found out your general location. I was sleuthing for information as I was talking to you. And I immediately called 911, and they're like, yeah, we've had some calls about this person. And I'm like, well, I have some information that might help you out. Because, I was just concerned that you would be alive, that you would be okay. And then, we became friends on Facebook, and, we didn't talk a lot, but I checked in every now and then. And, yeah, I was lurking. I wanted to see how your life was going, and I was so happy to see how your life, the trajectory it took after that. It was great.
It's just weird because I just remember at the time I was like, I can't even foresee myself living to the age of 18. I think I was like 15 or 16 or so around that time. And it's just like, to everyone, it's like you got the world ahead of you. But at that time, I'm just like, what is there? I have like a dysfunctional family. I don't really have friends. And that I kind of undermine my own issues as well. Like, oh, who's going to listen to like a teenager? They're always going to say like, you're just going through, teenage stuff. And that's what every teenager goes through. But I always question, like, is it normal to constantly question yourself? Like if like, oh, maybe I should kill myself today. Maybe not today. When's another day? Like every time I just got really, I guess, down on the dumps, if you want to say it, I always question, like, is this a normal thing? What do I really have going for me? And it's weird being surrounded by peers, especially at the high school that I went through. It was very much focused on honorary students.
That school, like it's like my high school was really weird. That high school was also a little bit on the weird side, like creepy weird.
It really came off like you're not important unless you were in their honorary program. And the only reason I didn't want to be was just because they just asked so much of students. Like, as a student, you're already busy with all your, 6 classes or so in schoolwork. And here they are like, hey, we need you to participate in community service and do extra things to get credit. And, that's going to help your college career. But, even though I was a student that got like straight A's and some B's here and there, it was just like, how do you, at the age of like teenage years, would you know what you want to do for the rest of your life? It was very like, hey, just focus on getting to college and doing this. But there wasn't really assistance for anyone. That felt kind of like lost. And I didn't really trust counselors because it felt like their job was just to kind of listen to what you say, not really like be there for you. And of course, I already knew if you mention anything about suicide, they are professionally obliged to mention it to your parents or,
right,
all that stuff. So I'm just like, okay, who do I talk to? Not really anyone. So it was something I was struggling through on my own because it was like you couldn't trust adults, maybe just some random like cashier that you would talk to here and there. That's nice, but it just felt very isolating to not have anyone around. But it's weird because I guess people considered myself to be popular in a sense of just being well known. A lot of people knew who I was, but again, it's just like, okay, just because I have all these people around me doesn't mean I, feel like I'm friendly with anyone. So when I was going through with that, being 15 or 16, the most association I've had with my peers, or just like boyfriends, I guess you could say, like not really healthy relationships with dating, or friends. I didn't have any girlfriends or anything either. So when I went through that, I was like, I don't have anyone except for this one guy who's head over heels for me. But I'm like, don't you try to follow me in my suicide attempt. And that's where I was just like, don't, like, I'm not.
I thought that was creepy as all hell.
Right? I was like, I don't think this is normal. I feel like you should, find a normal, like, girlfriend kind of thing. So I kind of pushed him away for that.
It sounded like, thinking about it now, it's like it was kind of Possum Kingdom. If you know that song, it's that song, Do You Wanna Die? It's the mental ponderings, I guess you could say, and dreams of a necrophiliac. That's what the song is.
Yeah, like, it's
creepy.
Sam was just shocked by that.
I was just pretty shocked. Like, maybe you had your own romantic fantasy or something, because I gave you the time of day. But, that, again, I had unhealthy relationships. Maybe I flirted with people and didn't even know it, because I'm just friendly. But it was just weird having someone hail me when I'm going on a suicide attempt.
And honestly, I'll say for most guys that are when they're teenagers, and it goes through quite a while through life too. Any girl that says hi to them, they must love them. Especially teenage boys. If a girl says hi, oh my god, they love me. So
yeah, and I know I did a little more with him, because I was just like, at the time, I'm kind of lonely, and that just contributed to me not acting in the most healthiest ways. But at a certain point, I'm just like, hey, I'm just being real with you. I'm going to go through this. And he actually went along with it for some reason. I thought he would quit somewhere along the way, but he actually convinced me, or offered ideas of skipping out on school. I never have, because like I said, I was a really good student. So we actually called into school, pretended that we were our parents, and report an absence so they wouldn't suspect anything. So we had the whole day to figure out how we were gonna do this.
As you walked around carrying your bag of books.
Right. So as E mentioned, I talked to him earlier about that, because that was where, I guess if you can say it's symbolic, that I carried around my textbooks with me, because I was like, you know what, at a certain point, I just want to toss these away, because if I'm just gonna kill myself, why does it matter if I have textbooks? They're just actually just kind of heavy carrying them around, because I took random buses around the whole area. It was like, I don't even know where these buses are going. I just want to get as far away as possible from the vicinity. But at a certain point, I passed by a dumpster and I was questioning, I'm like, should I throw away these books? And I think when I decided to keep them, I was kind of clinging on to life in a sense. Like, it sounds kind of stupid, but textbooks kind of are a part of me, because what if I get out of this? Then that's going to be problematic when I
honestly, I don't think anything that kept you alive and on this planet sounds stupid.
No, I agree. And I think that also when you were making your calls, you were subconsciously, I think, trying to save yourself. I mean, it's human nature to want to try to save yourself, and I think that you were trying, even though you were convincing yourself to go through with it. And yeah, I mean, it may sound absolutely insane at the time that, well, maybe I should keep my textbooks in case I don't actually succeed.
No, like, you're pretty much right. I think it'd be like if I decided to jump off a bridge, like, I would just be hoping that someone would at least notice me, and, of all the cars passing by kind of thing.
Yeah. And then you're like, you know what? If I jump off a bridge into the river, the books could bring me down.
Yeah, I didn't think that far. I was just like, yeah, maybe if I, coming up with ways. I wasn't too creative about it, but it was there. I was just setting like a time limit for myself. Like, oh, maybe I should wait until like the end of the day when, no one's like on the streets. Or, if I change my mind, I should just run away from home. But it was really a feeling of like, there's no going back. There's not anyone that really gets it. But
and that's the problem with once you get into a suicidal mindset, is that it is very self-isolating.
Yeah.
Even people that could relate to you and could help you through it a lot of times you view them as a threat.
Yeah, it wasn't a happy place, and I think it just it didn't help. After I was caught, I guess you could say, it felt even more isolating. Being surrounded by adults that are supposed to be there to help you, but instead it felt more like you were, condescended for going through that. Like, why would you go through those things?
Or you're feeling patronized by them, going, "Oh, that is so terrible." And it's like, really? You really think it's terrible? Because you don't sound like it.
Yeah, I mean, mainly it was like my parents that just kind of gave off that vibe. But, when you're in the place of someone that is in handcuffs, because they probably didn't want me doing anything crazy, or, being it just felt, being the victim in the sense, like, it just feels like all eyes are on you, but not in a good way. Like, oh yeah, we're here to help you. But I'm like, are you, what can you do when I'm in my mental state, because you're more concerned that I'm threatening my own life, which I am, but not so much so of my emotional state and recover from that. So yeah, it was weird.
And it's, unfortunately, that's just the sorry state of the mental health capabilities of the government. And yeah, it's been bad for a long time.
Yeah, it's weird because, I mean, over the years I've ran into some good people, but at least when you're in that situation, you feel more like a prisoner instead of, people caring about you. So, I mean, it was different being handcuffed for the first time, because I'm used to being the goody two-shoes, never getting in trouble, never talking in class. So then all of a sudden, like, I'm the bad kid. Like, wow, this is different.
Yeah, no, it was quite the shock being in handcuffs the proper way my first time. I think when they finally caught me, that's where I was like, wow, I can, be ballistic for once and not be part of society, because I really feel bonkers right now and really sick of all the societal pressure on me. And thankfully, I was just a kid, because I could not imagine going through that shit as an adult. I'd just be like, what about the bills I have to pay and the kid I have to take care of and all of this? But as a kid, at least it was just school. So I can't imagine what other people are going through as adults, and I was just maybe just such a worrywart about all that. But it was nice for once being in prison, at least, how I call it, because after getting handcuffed, I think they took me to a hospital. Maybe it was Sutter, but that was where they had like a counselor question me about some stuff, and I don't remember too much from it. They had gotten rid of the County 5150 tank by that point, apparently, because that's where they took me. And while sitting in that holding area, it wasn't a cell, it was just a holding area, I realized I'm having a bad day. Y'all are fucking crazy. It was that way, too. I was like, I need to get the hell out of here. These guys are going to drive me insane. And then I wound up going to a private hospital. It's called Heritage Oaks for 72 hours voluntarily, but it felt at the same time as it felt like it was a bad choice because the help really wasn't there. I got a break from everything.
Yeah.
And that was so helpful. Life just went on pause.
Sometimes that break is much needed and we don't even realize it.
Yes.
I mean,
but when I was there doing the intensive outpatient program, their IOP, that actually was really good. But their inpatient stuff, wow, it was not a great experience. Well, Sam has something.
The fourth time that I was hospitalized, it was literally, they don't do anything. I went to John Muir. And the only reason why I remember the doctor's name is because it was after a beer, Dr. Smirnoff. He would ask you, like, are you suicidal? Have you been seeing things? And how are you feeling today? That's basically it. And then you're like, okay. Like, you could easily lie.
Mm-hmm.
and just say, I'm okay, I'm fine. And then they just send you out and say, hey, can you go get this so and so? And you're like, yeah, sure. That's basically how it was.
Yeah, mine, my
It's just not
5150
good.
tank, I was there for like 14 hours total. And like, we could hold you for 72 hours, but you seem pretty high functioning, all that. Do you promise not to kill yourself? I'm like, oh, of course, I promise. I'm not going to kill myself. Inside my head, I'm like, I'm going home, and that bathtub's going to be filled with my blood and water. But when I got home, my friends had completely unpacked everything, so I had just moved to the area. And my whole apartment was all squared away. And I went on my knees and just bawled my eyes out. And I was like, I need to go to Heritage Oaks. I need help. You guys just proved to me that I have to live now. I have to.
Aw, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember sitting when and talking, and I was just talking to people over Twitter and realizing that, holy crap, there's people out there that actually care. And I couldn't get over that. I didn't know people would care about a complete stranger.
Hi.
And nobody knew. Nobody knew at the time until months later that I was suicidal that night. I didn't tell them. But I'm still here because of E and a couple others.
You're welcome. And I'm also very thankful that you're still here. You've been equally helpful for me. You really have been. Now, one thing about those hospitals, though, you're not supposed to say anything about self-harm or suicide or anything. So it's really fun when you're in earshot of one of the doctors. He says to someone, "Hey, we should hang sometime." Just to see how far you could push it before they're like, "Wait a minute."
Oh my gosh.
They won't know a thing.
They're probably so callous to it. They're like, "Oh, ha ha, very funny." Not like we haven't heard that a million times already.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't think I even remembered really talking to too many doctors.
The one doctor I got to talk to, the dude was insane.
Oh,
He was,
the conspiracy theory guy?
yes! He was
my
100%
God.
believing in Agenda 21, which conveniently is now Agenda 22 because, this year 2021, it hasn't happened yet, so obviously they got the date wrong.
Obviously.
But if you ever look up, like, Agenda 21, they're talking about, like, the black helicopters and black vans, FEMA death camps, Chinese plastic coffins hidden in train yards, rail cars that are prison cars getting ready to transport people around. Like, yeah, the United States does have a decent rail system. It's not what it once was, but there's better ways to transport people now.
yeah.
And the DHS human, like, American targets for target practice, those actually are real. Which sucks, but it is what it is, and I get why they have them. Like, they'll have a lady holding a baby and aiming a pistol at the person that's at target practice. And their job is to try to hit the lady without hitting the baby. It's like, okay, but, I mean, couldn't you, like, just try to de-escalate? Just a thought.
Wouldn't she drop the baby?
Right? I mean, it's just, I don't get it. But yeah, no, I actually, I did believe in some conspiracy theories that I don't anymore. But Agenda 21 was one of those ones I was like, no, that's like flat Earth level, nope.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, no, I think I only came across like one doctor. I think I went to Sutter Psychiatric Center. But I literally went from cop car to hospital and then the center. So I feel like maybe my parents like convinced them about something, but I thankfully never ended up in a cell of any kind.
Okay, so just so you know, cop car to hospital equals 5150 by law.
I see. Oh, okay.
In California, by law.
They never. Well, I guess at the time I was like, I never thought too much about any of that.
They mentioned it like once, and it's kind of in passing, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and process you with 5150. They have to tell you, but like even I didn't catch it when they told me. But yeah, if the police drop you off for a psychiatric emergency to any facility, it is an automatic 5150, but it falls off after 7 years. And I'm like, I can't own a firearm for 7 years, but it was a knife that was threatening me, or that I was using. So where's the logic in that?
Yeah, it was like cop car, ambulance. I feel like maybe the ambulance was just to charge more money, and then hospital.
Well, if they went to Sutter, they couldn't take you straight to the. I know this because I know the Sutter facility due to not my reasons, but reasons. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they have to drop you off at an ER. The ER gets it booked with the facility, the mental health facility, and then they have to ambulance you over to it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the procedure they have to follow.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so they were following the procedure to get you in. And honestly, out of the different mental health care places in this county, Sutter's the best. Hands down. Hands down.
I never heard the end of it from my mom because I think even years after that, she was still complaining about the bills for the center.
Oh, I know that very, very, very well. When I was a little kid, due to negligence on the part of the people who were supposed to be watching me, my siblings, I fell out of a shopping cart. They had to take me to the hospital for x-rays. I still have a permanent knot on my head because of this. And whenever anybody would talk about it, all my mom could talk about was how I cost her $500 that day.
Yeah, I didn't feel too bad about it. I'm like, we wouldn't have been here if you weren't being such a bitch, But here we are. So now that's one consequence you have to deal with at the time because I was a minor. I'm like, I ain't paying that. But it was, speaking of my mom, it was kind of offensive to me that when I did get to the hospital and the counselor was asking questions, just to see my current mental state at the time, one of them she was asking was, have you, experienced any trauma, like sexual trauma or anything like that? And one of the things I brought up, I didn't feel like it was too important because it happened years ago and I kind of shut it out of my mind. But I just remember one incident where I went to a hotel with my dad and my sister. My parents were divorced at the time. So this is one of the weekends he actually picked us up. And we used to all sleep in the same bed together when we were family and all that. So I didn't think it was an issue. But the one night that he did, he pretty much used my hand and slid it under the blankets, and it felt like I was touching his genitals. And as a kid, I was like, I don't really understand what's going on, but it doesn't feel right. So I kind of didn't think too much about it. And I know a couple visits later, there was one time he asked me, like, if I gave you $100, would you, do this dirty action? And that's where I was like, yeah, I'm a little too young to understand, but I think I get the gist of that. And when I at least brought up that with the professional, at this point, I don't think there's anything they can really do about it. It's been so long ago. I just remember my mom later on saying, like, why would tell them that? Like, why would you throw your dad like under the bus? He's not the type of person to do that. Like, why would you lie about that? And I've kind of been holding a grudge about that ever since, because I'm like, really? You would believe your ex-husband over me, your daughter?
Like literally, why would I lie about that? Why? What do I gain by lying about that? Seriously.
Yeah, it was very upsetting. At least like now I understand that with Asian culture, we're kind of very sheltered with discussing our feelings and openly talking about things, which probably didn't help my mental state. And my mom probably was the same. I mean, even though I understood where she was coming from, I still don't, excuse that kind of ignorant behavior. Kind of, and I guess that's how now as a parent I kind of take that into the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, just because you were going through some mental trauma and shit when you were younger doesn't mean you continue to, you know, act that way to your children.
Right.
But that was just, yeah, that just kind of broke me more apart from her. And then when I finally got to the psychiatric center, as he was saying, it was just a relief. It was weird because, you know, you're kind of caged in. They don't really let you go out or anything like that. There's just walls everywhere. I thought it was weird. I used to like wear makeup and they wouldn't even let me have eyeliner, maybe because they thought I'd poke my eyes out or something.
You're going to shank someone with an eyeliner brush.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the reason that they do it is, I mean, I don't know, but there has to be a reason. Somebody did something.
Right.
These don't just come out of nowhere. Like the shoelaces, someone probably hung themselves or did some garroted someone. You know, these rules come from somewhere. But yeah, I remember.
Probably happened.
Yeah, but the thing I remember most of being there was it's 8:00 at night. Here's your Ambien.
I think I was pretty lucky that I didn't have to take any drugs because I really didn't feel like I was crazy at the time. Maybe I was, but I never, you know, actually went through with any suicide attempt. And in my head at the time, like, I blame my parents for, you know, being negligent with raising me. I felt like if they were more open with discussion or offered some type of guidance, I wouldn't have went literally bonkers having no one to be there, because my mom was literally a brick wall. You talk to her about anything she doesn't like, it was a lot of verbal abuse. And at the time, my stepdad was only a few years fresh into the family, so I think he didn't want to overstep his boundaries and be the parent when he, you know, just got into the family. So it was really him following whatever my mom wanted. So when I was in the center, I'm like, thank fucking God I am away from everyone, really. The staff didn't really feel helpful, but I think it was really nice to be around other kids my age at the time that were going through the same shit. And, you know, when you're with people that go through the same shit, they at least won't judge you. You know, I thought it was weird. Some of the people I met, I think I met a girl with all these scars of tally marks on her legs. And I'm like, I'm crazy, but you got like 30 tally marks on there. I'm not that crazy. But, you know, I ain't going to judge because we're all here for some fucking reason.
Yeah, and then it's always like, oh, so what are you in here for? You know, like, you know, talk to the neighbor. And like the person that you're sharing a room with, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I tried to murder someone." Can I get a different room, please? Wait, will that offend them? Will they kill me if I say that? Nope, yeah, don't know anything about that.
It really seemed like we were all dealing with shitty parents. But I know one of the times I felt really welcome was when they made us play basketball, and I'm like total garbo with sports. I was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm literally like the last pick kid if we play dodgeball or anything. No one wants me on their team because I'm not good at sports. Let's go with that. And at least in school, sports is a very competitive thing, which is healthy, but for someone who sucks and you're like, just get the participation points, I'm like, I don't really want to do this. But at least the kids I was with, they were like, hey, it's just meant to be fun. You know, it doesn't have to be competitive. Even if you don't think you're good at it, just enjoy playing the game. And I think that was like probably one of the first times in my life that I've had that kind of experience playing sports for fun. You know, maybe it happened when I was a wee child, you know, but I just kind of remember that feeling of just like, wow, this is so refreshing. I can just throw a ball, miss the hoop, and not feel bad about it. You know, maybe that was like, it looked minimal, but yeah, definitely like.
And I bet if you looked around, you'd see some other people completely airballing too, and nobody cares.
Yeah, it's just meant to be fun. I think even being in the center was like my first time being invited to something too, because I think they let us play like board games and stuff at night. And at one time, everyone was playing Uno, and I surprisingly have never played Uno at that time. But they're just like, yeah, join us. You know, this is fun, and I'm just like, I'm being included. I'm normally, you know, the one being left out, the one being looked over in groups. So at the time I was like, I don't want to embarrass myself because I don't know how to play Uno, and they look like they're hella, fast, skilled in the game. But I'm like, it feels nice as being part of the crowd, being there watching.
And the beauty of Uno is you play like for 10 minutes, you're a pro. It's like once you get it, you're like, now I see why they're so fast at this.
Yeah, like now that I get it, I'm like, oh, I see. That's where the fun is. The more people, the merrier.
Yep, and then eventually it's that whole thing of, wait, that person's about to win. How can we all pile onto them?
Yeah.
They were. I think the staff was like, you can't be, you guys can't contact each other after you guys get out. But on the down low, we were just like, just hinting clues. I think, if I remember, one of them was named Romney or something. So his hint was just like, my last name, it's like after the current president at the time. I'm like, and then when the elections happened, like when they were running for elections, vice president, I'm like, oh, okay, that's his last name. But like small hints like that, we were just like, oh, you could easily find each other on Facebook or something.
Right. My phone number's totally not 555. And don't you try calling me, because I might answer and say hello and be nice to you.
I didn't stay too close to many of them, but one of them I'm still friends with. I guess you could say that was like my mental hospital buddy. But it was nice. I felt like it was a good break. I think I was only there for like 2 or 3 days, and I just remember one of the last things before leaving was I actually finally spoke to a doctor with my parents, and he was really convinced that I should take drugs. And I remember every morning, every other patient was, getting their drugs given to them. But thankfully, like, my stepdad was just like, yeah, no, she's not getting any. Because I straight up told him, like, I don't feel like I'm crazy. If you guys were just being parents, we wouldn't have this issue. And I just felt like, I've never been diagnosed with depression. But I think after all the shit I went through, I was probably dealing with, like, general depression or something like that.
It takes one to know one, yes. I would say, I'm not a professional, but yeah, it really sounds like that's where you were.
Yeah, I just hate self-diagnosing, but I know I was going through some shit at that time, and my brain wasn't in order. But I really don't feel like paying money for therapy, so I'm like, yeah, I have depression, let's go with that. So the doctor was just like, you should really take some drugs, based off of what she's going through, and he was highly encouraging it, but my stepdad was just like, no, and at least we were on the same page. I probably was kind of like young, and I didn't feel comfortable with all the side effects of taking depression pills, because you see those ads on TV and they're like, yeah, this will help you, and then all that little small print on the screen was like, oh yeah, the side effects, headaches, nausea, all this, and we're just like, yeah, no drugs.
Yep. Headaches, nausea, splenal bleeding, anal leakage, permanent erectile dysfunction.
You might want to commit suicide again or something. And I'm like, yeah.
Your left eyeball might explode while your right eyeball shrivels up into a raisin. These are just, they happen.
They're just minor,
And that's when you got to question, is the cure worse than the sickness?
Oh, Kat just said, parents with more than one child already had a test kid. They learn more with subsequent children, hopefully.
Yeah, we actually have quite a few people in chat tonight, too. It's hopping. They're just, they're commenting, but, like, welcoming you, and it's just a lot of just like, it's chitter-chatter between each other and things. Like, when I was talking about wearing handcuffs the proper way, Bexy had to drop that in with quotes and a laughing emoji.
The proper way?
Yeah.
Proper.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of, like, right now it's just inner chat. They're not really asking questions yet, but they will come.
They will.
Okay.
Yeah, Deverne, anal leakage. Is this a commercial during Dr. Phil? No, usually Dr. Oz. Like we're going to go with the green coffee beans in order to take care of these things, where it literally causes cancer. It's not even like it may be a side effect. It's like, yeah, this is like tobacco, and it'll cause cancer if you use it enough.
Yeah. Well, Thankfully, I've never had to take any drugs, although sometimes I consider it because it doesn't get super severe, but I do the unhealthy coping mechanism of, when I'm feeling like numb and lethargic, how about I just pass out for like 12 hours and ignore all my problems?
Well, the meds won't get rid of that. It may make it less often, but
yeah, right.
Like if you're so the way to look at it is if you're properly medicated, the extremities are less extreme and they happen less frequently, but you still go through cycles and stuff. You should feel.
Definitely.
If you become flatlined, you're over medicated, and I've been there. It's awful. At first,
you don't feel anything.
At first, it's kind of nice because you're like, "Wow, everything's under control." And then after a while, you're like, "I need to feel something," and then you start doing stupid shit in order to try to feel something. You start lashing out at people close to you. It's awful. It's like you just want to feel something. You're like, well, maybe if I make someone feel bad, I'll feel bad. Because making them feel happy hasn't made me feel happy. So you make someone feel bad, you're like, nope, don't feel anything. And they're thinking, wow, what an asshole.
That's why you surround yourself with people that understand.
Right, but no, honestly, I'm not trying to say, yes, absolutely, to get medicated. It's not as scary as you may think. Side effects suck. They absolutely do. Trying to find the right med can suck ass.
Yes,
hard.
it can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
I know some people that like the first one that they were put on, it was the perfect fit. And I'm like, I hate you.
Me?
We can't be friends.
I would too.
That's me. The very first med I was put on has done wonderfully for me.
See, and
I haven't.
I have to
so
kick her off
lucky.
the show now.
Oh, darn, yeah. You don't belong here.
Yeah, I went through some awful reactions to some meds. Like the one that works best for my wife is the absolute worst for me. Like for her, it gets her in this amazingly good moods. But she still gets in bad moods. She still gets upset. She still feels everything, but she's more happy than not. And she's just a happy person typically. I went on it and I just felt just wave after wave of nausea, chills, cramps. I break out in cold sweats. And it was just wave after wave after wave for like 12 hours. And I was like, no, I can't. That's the devil. And she's like, I like it. I'm like, that's because you're the devil.
See, I did get a few side effects with the med that I'm on, but they're weird side effects. When I first started taking it, I got extreme jaw clenching was a side effect. So I would wake up in the morning and have an absolutely splitting headache from just clenching my teeth and grinding them in my sleep. Wearing a night guard took care of that. The other weird side effect that I still have to this day is uncontrollable yawning. There are certain times when I'm not even tired, but I will start yawning and I cannot stop.
Oy.
Yeah, and for me,
And
I don't really
those
have any
aren't
more
so
side
bad.
effects. You should, like, the side effects should start to subside.
The jaw clenching did. The yawning has not. So.
Yeah, Sam, you want to jump in?
Oh my God, what was I gonna say? Sorry, you can skip over me.
Oh my God, I'm so terrible. I just name dropped again.
You just put the spotlight on her.
This is my worst episode ever.
It's not me.
Oh yeah, I remember. The only time I ever get side effects with the medication I'm on is if it's my 6 p.m. ones, and if I don't eat anything, I will get so nauseous. Just
Yeah, so make sure you eat.
yeah, I need to remember to do that a lot.
Yeah, get your Go-Gurt. Get a couple Go-Gurts. Honestly, though, this is a great parenting tip. Go-Gurts in the freezer are great for teething babies. Because it's just yogurt, but it's so cold, it numbs their mouths, it tastes so good, they're happy to do it. And then, of course, they're numb and they don't feel the teeth coming through. And as an adult, I never cared for Go-Gurts, it just wasn't enough. But a Go-Gurt that's frozen is a great snack. Like, it hits the sweet tooth. And it's so much better for you than ice cream. So, yeah. Also, I fell in love with frozen chocolate waffles that aren't toasted, just frozen. They're actually pretty good. Don't judge. If you haven't had toddlers, you don't know.
Honestly, I
There
judge
is
my
no-
toddler for his weird taste. I think he was the first one that introduced me to eating pizza from the crust first.
What?
Yeah, not the pointy part first. He would start with the crust, and I'm just like, this is blasphemy. Or he'd eat a corn dog, and instead of eating the whole thing, he would take away all the, the outside first, eat the outside, and then the sausage. And I'm like, what was the point of a corn dog on a stick?
Right, you just basically had some cornbread and then a hot dog with a stick through it.
When my little brother was smaller, and he loves corn dogs, and now he can eat them on the stick and be okay, but they were a choking hazard when he was really little, so we would take them off the stick and slice them up, and I always called it redneck sushi.
My dad actually posted a picture of it like that, going, "This is my idea of sushi," and it had 1 cup of mustard and 1 cup of ketchup. And I was like, "No, that's disgusting. That's not sushi. I mean, that's delicious, but that's not sushi." No, I actually have a cousin that when they took pizza, they would sit down and meticulously separate it all into separate piles. A pile for each topping, a pile for the cheese, scrape off the sauce, so they'd eat the crust, eat the sauce, eat the cheese, and then eat the toppings in the order that they took them off reverse. It was like, you're crazy. Why do you do that?
What?
That's not even pizza
I was just like,
anymore.
I don't get it. Why? It takes so long. It's like, by the time I'm full, you're grabbing your second slice and starting to dissect it. Kids though, seriously.
But yeah, I'm considering medication, but I only when it gets worse, because I've always had this like mental, like, I guess, moral like idea where I'm like, I'm stronger than the medication. I don't need it. It's like when you get sick, I'm like, I don't need to go to the doctor unless it really gets bad. I can take care of myself. So I try to not let it get that bad. I call my husband my safety pin, because he knows when I have like warning signs where I start, disassociating myself, feeling numb, starving myself from no appetite, just distancing myself from reality, from how negative I feel. And that's where he'll be like, I don't know how he does it, but he just offers like great distractions. And I'm like, you know what? I never thought of that as a way to help someone cope with their mental issues. Because you're used to like, oh, hey, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? He just skips all of that. He just kind of knows that I'm not feeling okay. And that's where it's like, hey, you want to, do something you like, I downloaded this new video game. Like, you want to play this, or I'm gonna go buy some food.
He's good at getting you out of your head.
Yeah, just getting distracted, because it's every time I feel a negative emotion, it just goes all the way to like numbness. Like if I get angry, I'm like, I don't even have the energy to be angry anymore. I just want to feel sad and numb. And it's weird, because when I get like that, it is like, I want to stay this way, but I actually don't. But it feels so good to not feel anything right now, even though at the same time I'm like, I am suffering from not feeling anything. Someone help me feel happy or something. Give me some serotonin. And it's just, it's weird. Like, I don't really get as bad as I used to, because before, when I was younger, that was when I was like, maybe I should like cut myself to like get rid of the pain, or do some sort of crazy act like run away again. But now I'm like, okay, I'm an adult. I'm not doing that. I'm going to confine myself in the vicinity of my own home and try to cope healthily. So I'm like, okay, I want to take medication, but my at least for right now, I just do medicinal marijuana, because my husband has anxiety, and that's one of his ways of getting me out of my trance. Is like, hey, you want to just smoke a little with me? And again, I'm like, even though I'm like, I know about drugs after researching and stuff, but there's always like the little kid in me that's like, moderation. When you're like in elementary school and they're like, drugs are bad. And now I'm just kind of like, it depends on, what you consider a drug, because pharmaceutical drugs are drugs too. It just depends on what is healthy.
Right.
So, what works for you. And especially like I'm staying clear away from all the big bad drugs like meth, but at least for like, the small stuff, like pills and all that. I'm like, I'll consider it. But right now, I'm like, I'm better than my mind. It's weird fighting yourself. Like
it is. It is, and also, I mean, you came from a very, very, like I said, a conservative household. The Asian culture and all that. So you having that kind of mindset of I'm going to beat this, I'm stronger than this. It's not too uncommon. I mean, I started out that way too, and when I got on medications my first time, I wanted off of them as fast as I could. And then I got them on the second time, and again, I wanted off of them as fast as I could. But I saw the harm that I was caused when I wasn't on it, and was able to directly contrast it to when I was on them. And now it's like, yeah, I've been medicated for the last 4 years now, and I'm good. I like where I'm at now. I don't feel like the meds have changed me.
Yeah.
It feels more like they've unlocked my potential a little bit because I'm not holding myself back. I'm not being held prisoner by my own mental issues. It's nice. It's really nice. But yeah, it took a while to get there. I went through a number of awful meds. Oh God, awful. But no, being where I'm at now, it's really good. I mean, I was on what's that one? Adderall for a little bit for ADHD. It helps a bit, but unfortunately, with the line of work that I do, ADHD is actually a benefit. So
yeah,
a lot of people, like, I do phone support, and the thing is that every time the call comes in, it's a totally different issue with a totally different person with a totally different attitude, and you're expected to do about 30 to 40, sometimes 50 of these calls in a day. Most people are just like, no, that's just too all over the place. That's like watching Family Guy at 2.5 times normal speed. It's just way too much, too fast. But with ADD, it's like, this is perfect. But yeah, if you do decide to try meds, definitely get yourself a psychiatrist. That's their specialty. Psychologists, licensed clinical social workers, stuff like that. They don't do meds. Some of them get a little bit further along where they could prescribe some as a starter, but then you have to get a psychiatrist to go beyond.
Yeah, I've done some research about it because I thought about majoring in psychology, but didn't really want to. I ended up minoring in social science, and they offer you all these classes. I'm like, why would you pick anything else? Psychology is the most interesting thing. So I took a bunch of those courses, and I'm like, wow, this is really informative. I wish they taught this shit in high school. I think they only had one psychology class in high school when I was in it, but it really.
Oh, and that psychology teacher was awful.
What's funny is she was really sweet to me. Everyone else was like, she's so awful. But she took extra classes to specialize as a bullying teacher, and the problem was that she just became a huge bully for most people. Yeah. Apparently, you got the sweet side, which is awesome that she has one. I like hearing that. That makes her human. Yeah, right. It was weird because she really came off this is just how I do things. This she was very just strict with how she came off of things. But she did teach me how to write better essays, which I was like, maybe the way she taught didn't really fit with a lot of high school students. But I was like, wow, I was not taught this in English classes. And now when I write essays, I can look at it more from an analysis point of view. And I think that was what was hard for high school students is, you write an essay, summarize it. You're not really thinking outside of the box. But she was just like, hey, depending on what essay you're writing, sometimes you shouldn't use pronouns, things like that. That was one of them. And the other was, I think I was, at the time I took her class, I was actually pregnant. And I just remember she just, maybe that was the case, but she just connected more with me on a personal level. So even one time, she offered me tea because I wasn't feeling so well, or I was sleepy in her class. And she used to offer students oh, you can have fruit and stuff in the class, just no candy and all that. But she just had a way of doing things, and I think it just doesn't help unless you're close. And funny enough, she actually, talking to her more, she went through some mental trauma and sexual abuse and shit when she was younger too. I'm like, wow, I didn't know you were this human. But I guess that's a nice thing about teachers is you don't really understand their human side until you actually go out of your way to connect with them. But there's still a couple of teachers that I talk to from high school, but it's weird just talking about high school. I'm like, wow, I feel like really old now. Before I used to be like, oh, it's just a couple of years ago. Now I'm like, gosh, that was like almost a decade ago. I'm like getting old.
Yeah, no, it's like I remember that too. It's like, oh yeah, we did that in high school back in. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, see, you'll get there.
I used to like talk to her like, oh, like you guys are like all adults, right? And she was just like, yeah, but we're all like kids on the inside, and it's hard, when you're looking at adults. I'm like, you look like you're 50 or something, but when you talk to the human side of people, it's like, yeah, I can see you being 18 and young again. And like in my head, I still feel like I'm 18, 20, even though I'm not there anymore. It's weird. Every time I try to act like I'm 18 or 20, my body has very rude ways of reminding me that I'm not.
Oh, amen to that.
It's like, oh, you want to take off running without stretching? Here, let's go ahead and put a huge knot in your calf, and you're gonna have to walk for a month, and you're not gonna be able to run for 3 months. Oh my God, I get that one. I'm just stretching. I'll wake up and I'm like, morning stretches. Oh wait, cramp. Or all of a sudden you get a pop from a location that's never popped before. You're like, wait a minute, where'd that come from?
Oh, that sucks so much.
Ooh.
You're like, did I just break a bone, or was that actually supposed to happen? Am I in shock?
I literally sound like a Rice Krispie treat getting out of bed in the morning. Snap, crackle, pop. And I'm like, I am 41. I am not supposed to feel this way yet.
Yeah, you're still pretty young.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I put in observations like when you're 19, or like what does that put? Yeah, when you're 19, you're like, hey, it's like 10 o'clock at night. You're like, hey, everybody, let's get going. The night's about to start. At 29, you're like, this party's rocking. At 39, you're like, I want to go to bed. And here I'm like 44. I'm like, yeah, 10 o'clock. I'm like, if my kids aren't asleep, I'm seriously getting upset because they're intruding on my sleep time. Of course, kids are like, I want to do what the grown-ups do when we go to bed. You know what we do? We go to bed.
It's like, then go to sleep, because that's what we do.
But, yeah, I think, at least unlike all your stories, I don't think I got over or at least I didn't really cope with my depression that well until a couple years later, because I'm like, man, I wish I could be like Bexy and just be so empathetic and kind and stuff. But I think after that experience, I'm like, wow, everyone's a huge fucking dick. Like I just kind of like, I really hate everyone, and I can understand where you're coming from, but because you do these shitty actions, I hate you even more. That you don't overcome instead of
I have always been the empathetic person, and I absolutely refuse to treat people the way that I was treated for so many years. And honestly, I didn't deal with my depression until I was in my late 30s. I didn't know how. I didn't know that I could until I met E and another mutual friend who would they would just flat out tell me, that's wrong. When I'd say, and I'm like, what do you mean? I don't understand. Everything is always my fault. And they're like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
gonna come kick your ass.
Oh, I didn't say I was going to come kick her ass. I said, I'm going to hire someone to kick her ass because capitalism.
Exactly. But no, I got many I'm going to kick your ass threats from another mutual friend of ours.
Who I miss.
I know, I miss her too.
We need to get her on the show if she'll do it.
Yes, we do.
But, it's, honestly, it's like, if you really look at it, everybody could be a dick. Everybody can. Even the nicest people in the world will have their moments where they'll be a dick. But that doesn't define who they are.
Oh, yeah, no.
But yeah, when you go through a shitty experience and it's like all these people, like, I care so much about you, and then they're, like, gone. You're like, yeah, well, now my faith in humanity is gone, too. But then there are those people that did stick around.
Yeah, and it's weird. Just kind of like I don't like everyone, but I still treat them how I want to be treated. In the sense, like I understand where you're coming from. It's just it's like being in customer service. Just like I can't help but be nice because I'm just a morally nice person. But I really think you're an ass from how you're treating me. But I'm gonna continue to be nice because I can't help it.
Yep, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to help you. And since I'm on a phone, you can't see me. I am strangling the wrist rest. And you're not going to hear it in my voice. But trust me, that wrist rest is in pain. Because I picture your neck. Oh, and that's,
yeah.
I get it. Oh, God, do I get it.
Yeah, it's just like I don't like a lot of humans, but on the bright side, when I meet a nice human, I'm like, wow, you're genuinely not like the others. It's not the norm, at least for me, running into people like that. It's different. Like, are you an alien? You know, like you're too nice.
Well, it's like, like I wanted to talk to you a lot more after that whole incident, but I was like, you're 15, 16 years old. I'm an adult. You're one of my son's friends. I was like, that'd be kind of weird, but now you're an adult. You're married. You have a family. It's like, yeah, I can reach out and talk to her now. I was just like, I didn't want to give off a creeper vibes. I'm like, I'm not a creeper. I'm genuinely interested in how you're doing.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I did have a teacher reach out to me after, I don't think she really knew what was going on there, but I know after that incident, I want to say fast forward maybe a year and a half later, that was when I got pregnant, and then all of a sudden I just got, more support than I thought I would get criticism, because I'm, used to all that negative views of just like, oh yeah, if you get pregnant in high school, your life's over. But I was like, I'm gonna stay in high school the whole time until I give birth. And I actually had like one teacher that was really supportive. She was like my husband's, best friend at the time, his best friend's mom. She taught math at the school, and she used to be like a good place for me to just rest, take a break, have advice, kind of thing. So, but maybe it wasn't as weird because she was a woman, and she was a teacher. So it
And who
compared
knows?
to,
Maybe she was a teenage mom too, so she could totally relate.
yeah. So I had a lot of teachers that were nice to me with that incident, and I mean, I was always, again, the symbolism with the textbooks, hard-headed about school. So even when I was like, even if my life's going over, I'm graduating with a high school diploma and no one can stop me. I remember when I was getting contractions and had to go to the hospital, I was still...
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
What happened?
Hello.
We lost her.
Oh no.
I need to know what she was going to say! Hopefully she'll come
no.
back. This is where we need the we're having technical difficulties.
Yes. Yes.
The Vern sounds like it's getting good, but it's time for Hell's Kitchen. See you around. Man, this season has been great for Hell's Kitchen, though. Not gonna lie.
I have not watched any. I should probably.
I haven't watched any either.
It's Gordon fucking Ramsay. Come on.
Oh, I love Gordon Ramsay. I've just.
All right, she fell off. Hopefully she uses the same invite again. Damn it, because I wanted her to give a shout out to her husband, because we, all three of us, we know how awesome her husband is. Like, holy shit.
Oh, definitely.
Even though he has anxiety, he has his own issues, like, seriously? I want to be like him when I grow up. I'm trying to reach out to her.
Oh God, chill.
It's coming from C. That's where all the kids' sounds are coming from. Laptop died. Be back in a few minutes. All right, so we'll have her back in just a little bit here. I'm going to send her the link again just in case she needs it. Well, she doesn't need it. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said that she'll finish the story. So she's just getting set up on a phone, it looks like. So, everybody, any questions for Boa when she gets back? Cat? Et tu, Kate? Haha, I had to do it. Seriously, no reaction? I just dropped a fantastic Julius Caesar moment there. Oh, come on, Boa. We need you back. We need you back. We need you back. We need you back. And DeVerne was saying that we should all stop holding ourselves prisoner. Too bad I don't want to swallow pills. I get that mentality completely. Been there. Done that. Overcame it.
Right.
I don't like taking.
Speaking of the Julius Caesar reference, how do you make a Caesar salad?
How?
You stab it 23 times. I know. It's
All right.
horrible.
C was about to say something profound, and you jump in with a joke.
Sorry.
Bye.
Oh, sorry, C.
It's okay. Well,
Bye.
sing.
That's not you. That's on Bexy's side. That's Adam.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Adam. I forgot to lock my door.
I was gonna say I don't like taking medication either, but it helps, so I take it anyway.
Yeah, when people notice the difference too, and they're like, well, you were so much nicer last week. What happened? Okay, fine. I'll get back on the damn meds.
It'd be so hard to function without them.
Yeah, like if I skip a dose, like the next day I'm just
feel
like,
it.
oh god, I feel it. I actually went 2 days without, just by pure accident. By the end of that second day, I was just like, what the hell is wrong with me? This world sucks right now. Oh wait, I didn't take my meds.
I've never done that.
I can fix this. feel like Fix It Felix from Wreck-It Ralph. I can fix it.
I can fix it. Thankfully, I've never had that happen when I missed doses. It just felt the same, really.
Lucky.
So I put an alarm so I could actually remember to take them.
Let's see here. Hey, Jen just said hi. No, it's like I wake up, I get out of bed, I go to the bathroom, and sitting on the shelf right above the toilet are my meds. That way I don't forget it. I have to stare at them first thing in the morning, like, oh yeah, I got to do that. That's the ADD part of me. If they weren't right there in front of me, I probably would forget every day.
That's why I set my alarms.
Yeah.
Or else I would forget and I would spiral and it wouldn't be good.
And for everybody listening, if you want to be involved in the chat or you want to catch it live, set alarms. That helps. Or, get the Spreaker app and follow us and allow alerts. That helps too. It is taking a little while here. I'm getting ready to send that little Cookie Monster waiting animated GIF. So, any plans for the weekend as we wait here?
Homework.
Laundry?
My son's T-ball game, his second game. Oh, here we go. Boa's coming back.
Oh, his first game was so cute.
Welcome back.
Thank you for waiting.
We're back! Yay!
Yay!
My bad.
Yay!
It happens. Unfortunately, we lost DeVerne and Kat. DeVerne ran off to go watch Hell's Kitchen because they're down to the final 4, so the next episode's the finale. And it's a good season this year. It's a really good season. It's down to 3 people left, of which 2 of them I said the one, if he walks the walk, he's probably going to win. And then the other one, like 3 episodes in, I went, that's my dark horse pick, and there they are. So I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, DeVern was saying in the chat, yeah, we should all stop holding ourselves prisoner. Too bad I don't want to swallow pills. It's like, I think that's something that most people get right off the bat. Because I've never met someone that was like, oh, yay, pills? Unless they're already a junkie, then that's a little different. It's like, yeah, these aren't the kind of pills you're thinking of, bud.
I think it's just there's a mental stigma with like taking pills, and it doesn't help like your experience. You have to go through a trial and error process before you get the right one. And I don't imagine it being as easy as like just going to a pharmacy and just buying something over the counter. You know, you probably have to see someone who thinks which one's best for you, give it a try, see if it works, and, you know, go from there. And I don't know about other people, but I know I have like social anxiety and phone anxiety, and I'm just like, I don't really want to make an appointment. I don't even want to see someone in person. Can we just like email or something and work this through? But
well,
you know,
they can now do the telehealth with Zoom.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's just nerve wracking to even like ask for help in that sense. And then on top of that, you gotta make sure that, you know, you got like the right insurance and, you know, paying for that and all that.
Well, and even if you don't have insurance, like some pharmacies will have different pricing scheme, schedules than others based on what they've negotiated. And then there's like certain like discount programs out there too. As an example, for 1 month we actually had no insurance. I had to pay for my Cymbalta out of pocket.
Oy.
At Walgreens, even with the discount, it was $50 for 30 pills. But Safeway was $15 for 30 pills.
Wow.
Yeah. If you don't have insurance, or if your insurance isn't like the greatest, you have to shop around. It's worth it. I mean, that was $35 extra that I got to keep in my pocket just off of that alone.
Yeah, there are a lot of pharmacies that have discounts for meds, and thankfully, you know, right now I have no insurance, so most of my meds range from $4 to $10 for, depending on if it's a 30-day supply or a 90-day supply at the pharmacy that I use, except for the shot, which that one is the one that kills me. Even it was $75 a month with insurance. Without insurance, it's over $1,000.
Holy
Ooh,
man. That's rough.
Where's the generic for that?
There isn't one.
That's I know. That's why I said that. Like when there wasn't a generic for Cymbalta, man, that stuff was expensive. Now there's a generic. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always tell when there's not as generic because it is so expensive.
Eek. I bet.
So you were telling this great story.
Oh, yes. I was telling you a story about how when I got my contractions, not that you will ever have to deal with that, but...
Hey, I've had to go poop pretty bad before. I know it's not even the same.
You know what's funny is I don't really get period cramps, so I was like, what the hell are, you know, contractions? Like, how do you know when you get them? And I'm just here, like, texting all my female friends, like, what do period cramps feel like? Like, or you know, like moms of friends who are like, are these contractions? I just remember waking up like 3-4 in the morning to do my math homework. You know, funny, out of all the times I'm dealing with this type of stuff, I was still a good student. I was just like, I gotta finish my math homework before school in the morning. And my stepdad walks in and he's like, you're not doing your math homework, you're going to the hospital, you have contractions. And I'm like, but I gotta turn in this math assignment.
Yeah, you know what? It's like a couple of things that you haven't touched on yet, and I just got to throw it out there. Your stepdad, awesome. Your husband, awesome. Like, seriously. And I see him in the background playing video games.
I asked them to be quiet because I was still doing this. But yeah, they've been a big help through everything, especially since, of course, I wasn't that mentally stable after the incident. So it was no surprise that I had a teenage pregnancy. But after that...
Hey, I resemble that remark.
So at the time I was dating my now husband, then best friend. One of the really big things that he did for me was when I was 3 months pregnant, we ended up going out. So he's not actually the real dad, but
hey. He's the real dad. He's not the father.
He's the real dad.
Yeah.
He's, not the bio, but he's been dad for the kid ever since. And I don't hold grudges against the original dad because we were both teenagers and just like we're not compatible and we weren't meant or fit to be parents together for this kid. I hold other grudges, but that not being one of them, since we're both young and we're just like, this is gonna end our lives. And my stepdad was one of the big factors to encouraging me to keep the kid because, normally you would think when your parents find out that you're pregnant, you're going to get a big lecture and, maybe scolding and all that. But he was very calm and he was just like, if that's something you want to do with your life, I'm going to leave that decision to you. He didn't try to influence me in any way, even though I am pro-choice. He was just, not like abortion or no or whatever. He was just like, I understand where you're coming from. My mother had a miscarriage when she was young. Don't worry about like finances or anything like that. Just go with what you want to do because it is your life. And that was just where I was just like, you know what? Like, I think I could do it. I'm not going to become a high school statistic. I didn't.
You weren't being treated like a kid. You were being treated like an adult.
Yeah, and it was really different because I still, I still felt like a kid. But at the same time, just knowing that I had that support really helped. So I at least had, one person on my side. I at least had, before when I went through my suicidal incident, I felt like I had no one. But after that, my stepdad's been very more open with me and understanding, probably because, he wanted to be that support that it didn't feel like I was getting from anyone else. But then,
I could almost hear him in the conversation with your mom, closed door behind, the bedroom door's closed, saying, look, she tried to kill herself because she didn't feel like she had any parents. I'm going to step up. I am going to do this. And you're just going to have to deal with it.
And he was a good example too, because, as a parent, I would think, as a parent, you're supposed to treat your kids like they're kids, but he also gave me the respect that I needed as a human being. So like when I get in trouble or he scolds me as a parent, sometimes and now even myself as a parent, you might yell more than you might want to, but my mom would just kind of sweep it under the rug, just like this never happened. Her way of apologizing was just getting me food or pretending it didn't happen. And he would go out of his way to be like, hey, I'm just letting you know that what you were doing wasn't exactly right. And I don't agree with that, but I just came here to say, like, I'm sorry if I was being too loud with you or hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to go that far. And that was like, oh, whoa, like adults apologize? Like, that's new, someone admitting that they're wrong.
This happened. Am I dreaming?
Right?
Pinch yourself. No, I'm awake.
So he was definitely a big help. He's been a big help ever since. And then the other help that I've gotten was from my husband, which, yeah, he's like 1 year younger than me, but I was just surprised at how mature he was compared to other teenage boys. But 3 months into my pregnancy, that was when I went out of my way to confess to them that I liked him, but it was a little complicated love story at the time. But basically, I wasn't the nicest to him. I apologized, confessed my feelings, and that was where I was just like, I kind of low-key regret this because, we're both teenagers, and I straight up told him, like, you have your whole like life ahead of you. You know, don't you want to like date girls and do things that other boys do, like, you know, explore and express yourself? Like, it feels
Road
like
trip.
yeah, right. You know, wouldn't your life be over if you just end up dating someone who's pregnant? Like,
Go down to Tijuana, get chlamydia.
like, you know what you're getting into if you date someone that's pregnant. But he was just like, you know, I think he's only dated like 2 or so girls before. And he's like, I've already seen all there is to, you know, see. Like, what, you know, it just feels pointless to just date just casually, at least for him, when he already knows who he wants to spend the rest of his life with. And I was like, you sure? Like, you know, because best friends, when relationships don't go well together, like, you're not best friends anymore. At least I would think it's hard to maintain a friendship after being in a serious relationship with someone. But
Funny you should bring that up. Our last guest of this season that we're in right now, actually is still best friends with their ex-wife.
Yeah, I'm like, I would find that hard.
I don't understand that. Like, I'm married twice, divorced once, and I don't understand that. Like, my ex and I were civil, but we are so worlds apart now.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, you could be civil with your ex, but I can't imagine having the same close bond with the person anymore, and not have any type of nostalgic or romantic feelings involved, because I'm a very, like, sensitive person too. So it was just, I just was like, we either make it or break it, honestly. And I know we had a lot of like rocky parts in our relationship, but he's really one of the first people that just kind of taught me to be self-aware and improve myself, which is weird because everyone else I've dated were just, they either, I guess if you want to call the term a simp, they either, you know, did whatever I wanted. Like, here, you know, go, well, you're craving this, I'll bake your food or whatever. But, or, oh, you know, we're having an argument and you're crying. Oh, here, I'm sorry. No, my husband would not take it. He's like, oh, you're crying baby tears. I'm sorry I made you cry, but you got to be an adult and we need to solve this situation. You can't just cry your way out of this. And that's where I was like, oh, well.
Damn. He called your ass out.
Yeah, I think I adapted some manipulative and toxic traits from my mother, and no one really kind of pointed that out to me or helped me work through it. And he would not let me walk from an argument, because before I used to just like, no one cares anyways, or we just don't get along. What's the point of me being here? It was just easy to run away and for my problems and deal with it later. But he was very confrontational. He's all like, if you take this issue seriously, we're going to work through it. If you say you're committed to a relationship, you need to put effort into it on both sides. And it was weird being with someone who,
for a teenager, he's got an old soul. He really does.
And he's had more parental issues than I have, and on top of also having anxiety. So I'm like, this is really mature for someone your age at the time. And he continues to be like that. It's maybe he was one of those people is like, I just don't want to be like my parents, but he was really committed to that. So I'd say he's like the other half of me, like Bexy, where he's just so nice and caring and empathetic, and I'm just like this hard-headed, assertive, stubborn type of person. So we're like two peas in a pod in that.
Damn, that sounds like Bexy and me right there. Like, seriously.
It really does.
Oh my god.
And I feel so bad because, a lot of people think he's like this intimidating type of guy, but he's this big, like, softy on the inside.
I would have never thought that. Like, I see all the photos and stuff, and it's like, the dude's a nice guy. He's a guy I would totally hang out with. It's like,
yeah, he's just very sweet.
He's cool.
But yeah, him and my stepdad have helped a lot. It's just, it's weird getting out of like toxic relationships and then just having someone be there and recognize your self-worth, not just by saying it, but just showing that you're important. So I know for the longest time, it took me a while to just get over my depression or find a healthy way to cope with it. And I know I wasn't the nicest to him when we first got together. But we
He
did
saw
go.
something.
Yeah. He always, just told me, if as long as you want to go through with this with me, I'm always going to be there for you. So
Aww.
you
Like
just
seriously,
have to say-
that's a sincere one too.
yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to say that you want to go with this, because you'll have those arguments where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore, let's break up or something, and always just be like, seriously though, do you want to break up or do you actually want to be together? Like, tell me what you actually want.
Right, that's the heat of the moment speaking.
Yeah, and he'll always like get clarification for that. And it's just weird not having someone that doesn't give up on you.
Yeah, while you were gone, switching to the other computer, I flat out said that, your husband is, I want to be him when I grow up.
Right? He's such a good role model. He's
I hope he heard me.
he has his headphones on.
Yeah, I know.
Respecting my privacy. Yeah, he's such a good role model for our son. Like, I'm glad that he took on that role. I remember his my son's bio dad like reaching out to my husband and saying like, hey, thanks for taking on this role, because I can't do it. And it's weird because I saw him at court, a couple years back, and that's where like I just realized I just kind of ignored all the red flags with him. I wouldn't say he's like the worst guy, but he was like the opposite of my husband. When I saw him in court, he still did not have his high school diploma. He still did not have his shit together. So I was really like, what's the point of going to court? Like, what child support am I going to get from him?
Can't get blood from a rock.
Yeah, right? Like, what am I getting? Now I get child support from him, a whopping $20 each month.
Wow, that could take your son out for, like, a fast food meal.
Right? I was like, yeah, that pays, like, barely, like, maybe one bill, half a bill. But, I was like, whatever.
Hey, it pays for Netflix. There you go.
Yeah, so I was like, that that's where I really believe, like, some things just really happen for a reason. I'm like, my past self really was distraught at the time of what I was going through. But now when I look back, I'm like, yeah, no regrets. No regrets.
Rygerts. The guy's all so proud of his tattoo.
No regrets.
You mean like regurgitation? No, actually, one thing about your husband's story that really like rings with me a lot is that, like, that my son that you're friends with, he's not biologically mine, but he was 13
He's
months.
yours.
Yeah, he was 13 months old when I entered his life. I'm the only dad he knows. He's my son. And I will defend him as equally as I will defend any of my other children. But yeah, like, I got the kind of the same thing, how you're like, are you sure you want to get involved? Blah, blah, blah. I got the, you've only been with one other person in your life. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, you know what? I mean, I live in this really small, shitty town. There's nothing here. Yeah. And honestly, I fell in love with your son. So you kind of stuck with me anyway. And I gotta say though that my first marriage, when it was good, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But man, it's like the whole thing that the ones that burn super hot also burn out fast, and they burn out hard, and that kind of happened with us. It sucks, but it is what it is. And we were high school sweethearts, and we didn't make it through. Yeah, we are on that side of it where you and your husband seem to be doing great. I mean, you guys have been together for how long now?
Oh, God, I want to say like 8 years or so.
Yeah, that's a good run. That is a really good run. And you guys seem like you're still going strong.
It's weird because, I used to, keep track of like how how long I've been together with someone. Like, oh yeah, the longer you are with someone, the more successful it is. But now I'm like, it's been this long. Like I'm forgetting all the dates. I feel like I'm getting old. I'll be like, when was our anniversary again? When was his birthday? And like people will ask like, oh yeah, how long have you been married? I'm like, I've been married this long, but I was engaged this long. Like I'm just like the dates don't even matter anymore. Like I've literally just been going along with the ride, hanging out with my best friend. So it's weird that it's been this long because it feels like I still see him as when we were like 19 or 20 or whatever.
Aw. Of course, it is like, thank you, Facebook memories, for reminding me.
Yeah, right? I was like, oh,
like, first thing in the morning. What am I forgetting? Come on, Facebook, help me out here.
It's weird. I have to keep like a little calendar of everything I have to do too. I'm like, wow, I'm so like adult and organized. It's weird having a schedule.
I'm out of iced tea.
Oh no.
No, but I mean, and I gotta ask you, have you had that moment yet that made you just stop and go, oh my God, I'm turning into my mother, after you said something to your son and what he was like pissing you off?
Oh my God. Yeah, there's been a couple times where I'm just like, I think I need to break away from this. I think
it's like as it leaves your mouth, you're like, if you could grab it and stop it from getting to his ears, you would. Because this is not happening.
I know when I get like kind of far. I think my son had this phase where he was being a little like sneaky little brat, and I was just like, I can't deal with this. I'm literally ready to explode. So what he did was I bought like 3 Bang Energies, and I hardly drink them, but I work graveyard shifts, so I was just like, I'm gonna save them. But anyway, so my husband Tristan comes home from work, and he sees this empty can that's on the floor. So we live upstairs, and he comes in and he's like, hey babe, are you missing one of your energy drinks? And I'm like, what do you mean? So I look in the fridge. I'm like, I thought there was 3, because you know which flavors that you buy.
Yes.
Only 2.
It's like, where'd my watermelon go?
Yeah, so he was like, did you drink one? And I'm like, no. Did you? And he's like, no, I think Artemis might have drank one and thrown it over the patio. So that was when we confront him about it, mainly my husband, because I'm more hot-headed when it comes to parenting. So he was just like, hey, trying to figure out what's going on. And my son actually blamed the cat. At first he was like, oh, Robert came in and stole it. And then his second excuse, like, the cat drank it and threw it over the patio. And that was where I'm just like going bonkers. And my husband, so calm and patient. It's just like, hey, this doesn't make your mom happy. This isn't nice. I'm like, where does he get this? That's funny because he's the one that has the anger issues. But when it comes to parenting, I think it's because I have a little mini me. Like, I thought having a son, it'd be a little different than having a daughter, because I never wanted a daughter because she'd be like me. But my son is literally just a boy version of me. So I'm like, he drives me crazy sometimes just because he reminds me of me. But yeah, like my husband's Tristan's is really a nice, this nice part of me. Like, I think he's the one that gives me some humanity from all my little like lack of faith in humanity. I mean, I meet other nice people and stuff too, but he's really like proven to me that he's been there. Because I think when we first, besides the pregnancy, got together, we were also dealing with other stuff. To get away from my crazy mother, I moved in with his crazy mother, and just to say now, we don't really have our biological parents involved in our lives anymore because we both dealt with crazy parents. We also dealt with bed bugs because one of our friends gave it to them, and oh my gosh, it took like years to get rid of them.
Those are the worst, so I've heard. I've never had them, and I'm glad.
That they were like really big obstacles in our early relationship. We were just like, can we handle being together? Like, maybe the world is just saying that we shouldn't be together, but we're just like, you know what, we really care for each other, and there's no one that's gonna understand each other like we do. So fuck it, let's just deal with it, get over with it. We can't really see better times, but we'll get there. I'd say we're pretty much there now, but that's why I was like, man, relationships are hard.
They are. They really are. It's like if you've only ever go until the novelty wears off and the excitement and that spark wears off, you never really know.
Yeah.
They are work.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And
Sometimes.
when they say, you know, that saying, like, guys will say a lot, happy wife, happy life, that's really a bad way to go about it because it's a one-way street. What I heard that I love is happy spouse, happy house.
Yeah, that's the better one. And that's where, you just have to be equal in that regard. At least one of the things that I realized is I should always feel comfortable being myself with the other person. I know, you know, with insecurities for the longest time, like, oh, this is too stupid to say, or I don't feel right saying this, or I don't see myself as a good person, even though I treat people well. I'm just a very honest person with a lot of criticism and thoughts. And a lot of people, I just felt like, oh, they want like a girl next door type of person. They want, you know, a role model type of girl. And it's just, I couldn't come to terms with who I was as a person, who I wanted to be.
I was going to say, because your red and green hair, totally girl next door role model type look.
Right? It was, you know.
You got that rockabilly look going on, and it's amazing.
I feel like one of those Japanese, like, punk rock, like, bands.
Oh.
But yeah, I just didn't, you know, I didn't want to like be normal. I guess I always wanted to look like an anime girl. So there you go. But yeah, I just didn't feel like I would be the type of person you'd introduce to your good, wholesome family kind of thing, because they'd always judge by the hair, the tattoos, how I dress, kind of thing. But like Tristan just kind of helped me be comfortable with that. He didn't care about any of that, even though he's not a fan of piercings or tattoos. He still loves me for me. And it was even more refreshing to meet his family, which at least with his great grandmother, I thought she was like a very Southern Christian type of household. So I thought she'd like immediately like reject me or something based off of how I look, but she was just so sweet and nice. And the rest of his family is like that too. They don't judge me by how I look or that I had a teenage pregnancy. They just accept me as I am. And God, I just feel so naughty for, you know, visiting her, and I'm like, I'm secretly an atheist, but you know, I'll just say your prayers with you at the dinner table.
Oh, I get many I'll pray for you comments because I have a devil on my arm.
Yeah, but if they actually knew.
Yeah, I know.
I can just picture you heading towards I think C farted.
No.
I'm sorry, just you were fanning your face. I had to go there.
I'm sorry. That just reminded me. I was watching an anime the other day, and there was a commotion in like a mess hall, and somebody came in, and they were like, "What is going on here?" And one girl was like, "Such a past guest, sir."
Man, you okay? See, you look like you're about to like faint, maybe. You're muted.
No, I'm just getting a little restless and a little hot. That's it.
All right.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, no, but when you were talking about the whole Southern thing, you got the Southern experience. From my understanding, it's pretty open and wholesome.
Yeah,
I've never. I mean, it's like I know about the comments like, you know, bless your heart and stuff like that. But
yeah.
but from also what I've understood too, it's like if you show up and ask someone and they're having a barbecue, they're likely to just invite you to the barbecue, even though they have no idea who you are. If you seem nice, they're like, "Hey, you want a barbecue?" Sure, why not?
Yeah.
See, I need to experience this. That is not a California thing. California is basically every little thing is laced with "fuck you."
You need to come visit me. I need to feed you brisket.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's always nice visiting her because she'll always try to cook. Unless she's really lazy, then she'll order like KFC or something. But like when she cooks, she'll like go all out, and you'll even get like the milk and cookies and dessert at the end. And I'm like, I've never gotten asked for milk and cookies before. I feel like a kid again.
Oh my gosh.
But
I just.
Okay, so Tristan had a good upbringing. I mean, sure, maybe some craziness with the parents, but I mean, it sounds like the core of the family is pretty solid.
yeah, it's weird. His family, his parents at least were like the black sheep. Like you're just like, how did they get this? And then the rest of his family are just these real sweethearts. They're just like so nice. Yeah, it's bizarre. But he did, like, when his parents did have some issues, he stayed with his grandma for a certain amount of time. And his uncle. So I think it kind of helped as well. Because I'm like, I met both his parents. They're one of those people that I'm like, you weren't so bad at first, but I think you really just let your mental issues take over your priorities and what you care about. Just at a certain point, like I know his mom was going through some shit too, and I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, be supportive and stuff if you weren't such a bitch towards me. But it was just at a certain point,
That's like the head pat at arm's length.
Yeah, it's like I understand where you're coming from, but you're not, you're kind of pushing people away. And I think at this point, it's just better that you go to a hospital than everyone else living here with you dealing with that shit. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And Tristan just, I respect that he doesn't want to get involved with them anymore because they've done some awful things.
Well, nobody's perfect, but
yeah,
everybody has different degrees of where they fucked up.
Yeah,
and I mean, I don't know of any parent, and I thought I knew of one, which was Bexy's mom, but I could say I don't know of any parent that deep down doesn't actually love their child and regret the bad and wish that they could have done better.
Yeah.
And Bexy's mom came around and really changed that thought, because for a long time I thought that was never going to happen, and Bexy and her mom they reconciled, and it was beautiful to watch.
Oh, that's good.
It was like for the first like for months, it was like, is this for real or is this a long con?
Yeah,
I really didn't know, and I mean, there at the end when the dementia got really bad, she slipped back into old habits, but
that was the dementia.
That was the dementia.
You got to see the real her beforehand,
yeah.
Which is, how things are meant to happen for a reason.
Yeah, that's heartwarming.
Bexy got her mom back.
Yeah.
That's good.
Not for long, but you did get her.
Yeah, it's better than never.
I had a couple years. I mean, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which is better than nothing at all.
Yeah,
and that's better than what some people get, which is nothing at all.
Yes.
Yeah, I know his parents have tried to reach out to us before, but he's similar to me in the sense where it's just like what you've done has just been like so awful that it's hard to take you genuinely seriously. Because I know at least even with my mom, after all that shit I've had to deal with her, like I guess we've reconciled in the sense that I allow her to like babysit my son on Saturdays. So she gets that grandmother and grandson time. But at least for me, I just feel so disassociated with my feelings for her. Like I feel like an ass about it, but I'm just like, I just don't feel any love or anything there every time I see her. She doesn't verbally abuse me anymore, but because that was my agreement at first when I talked to her again, because I took like a 2 or 3 year break where I just broke off contact, and she kept trying to reach out to me, but I was like, if you want to talk to me again, you're not going to raise your voice to me again. And she hasn't, but yeah, it's just I just don't feel like she's my mom. I just kind of I just kind of became the mom that I wanted to be. And after doing that, I'm like, yeah, what she didn't really come off like mom actions. I mean, she did a big thing of, since I was born in Vietnam, when she married my dad, like we immigrated over here. So I'm like, I'm grateful for that. But at the same time, I'm like, if you're just going to put me through this bullshit, I would have been better off not being alive. That was how I used to think as a teenager.
Right.
But
But now you actually have reason to live, too.
yeah.
You have your husband, you have your kid, you have, that whole thing. If you have your whole life in front of you, you see it now.
Yeah, it's weird because, it's one of those things where I'm like, I didn't think this far. So now that I'm this old, it's weird that I kind of have to, like, plan my life. Like, right now, I even have a 401k plan. I'm like, I never thought I'd be preparing for retirement. I thought I'd die before I hit my 30s or something.
Right. No, it's. I still remember that transition, too, as moving into adulthood and having the adult things. Like, I have a retirement fund. I have benefits. I have insurance. Wait a minute. But I'm a kid. They trust me with this crap.
I still have moments in my life where I feel like I'm not adult enough. So I look around for a better adult. Like
the more adultier adult.
I still go to my stepdad for all my like adult stuff because he initially helped teach me about that stuff. Like, oh yeah, what's credit? What do you need to rent an apartment? Things like that. Because before I'm like, they don't teach you this shit in school.
No, they don't teach you.
Oh, they don't.
They don't teach you how to balance a budget. They don't teach. I mean, if we knew how to balance, if everyone was taught how to balance their budget, we'd probably demand better of our government. For one.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. But honestly, it's like they don't teach you how to balance a budget. They don't teach you how to prepare, like a savings account, for emergencies. They don't teach you about retirement funds. They don't teach you about compound interest, which everything's about interest and revolving credit. You got to know. They don't teach you where you need to, like what you have to have financially, as far as checking account, savings account, what lines of credit, how long, how much should be used to buy a house. They don't teach you this shit.
They don't. They don't teach you how to do your taxes, or
a lot of schools don't even teach you how to cook anymore.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Yeah, like I don't think there was even a cooking class in my high school. There was a wood shop class for a period of time, but no cooking class.
You could make these really awesome wooden pens, like they're ballpoint pens, but you couldn't cook to save your life.
Yeah, no.
Well, I started learning to cook when I was 7, and I also took home ec in high school, so I guess,
Oh, you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah. You see, I would have actually liked to have taken home ec, because,
oh, yeah. We had a lot of guys in home ec.
They didn't teach you how to change a tire, so if you get a flat.
I know how to do that.
Not gonna lie, it's actually kind of fun when you have to do it on occasion. Like, if I have to do it regularly, then there's something wrong with my tires or something wrong with the way I drive.
I firmly believe that everyone should know how to change a tire, how to check and keep all the fluids up in a vehicle. In a pinch, I can change the oil in a car.
Yeah, I'm still dumb with that. Me and my husband know nothing about that. But on the bright side, I have a nice little repair shop where I'm just like, I think there's something wrong with my car. I'm just gonna go there ASAP. So
you don't ignore the check engine light.
Yeah, I'm just like, this doesn't look right. I don't know how to change the oil and stuff, and I don't know what this means, but my car's making funny noises. Let's just go to the shop the next day. Good.
I mean, that's honestly the best way to go about it. If you don't know what you're doing, do your regular maintenance, and when something pops up, get it taken care of immediately. Because small problems could grow into large problems real fast.
I'm just glad I found it because it's one of those shops that don't bullshit you. Because I remember my husband had car problems with his PT Cruiser a while back, and we took it to Pep Boys, and they were trying to charge us like a couple $1,000 just to get it fixed, and we're like, what? Like, that's ridiculous. But yeah, we ended up going to the shop, and they're like, yeah, you're maybe spending like $3,000 at most for all of this. I don't know why they gave you guys like a higher estimate. But yeah, that's why I was like, wow, the good people in the world.
Yeah, we sees. You want to say bye?
Yeah, I'll say bye real quick. I'm gonna go because I'm feeling a little tired, and my niece is not gonna leave me alone. So
You're good.
It was really nice talking to you, Bo. Honestly, what I relate to a lot of the things that you're saying, and again, it was so nice to meet you, Bo. Really.
Boa.
It was nice. It was nice meeting you too, see.
Yeah, and it's again like we've always said, you know, self-care first.
Always.
She needs to go take care of herself. She needs to go take care of herself. We get it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
It's something that you
know?
probably learned too. It's like when you look at when your child was still in diapers and being swaddled. There are those times you're like, "Mommy's about to fall over dead." You learn self-care real quick.
Oh yeah. I think everyone should do this. I made myself a self-care box because sometimes you just have to have something like that sitting around. And for me, with mine, it's filled with like bubble bath and bath bombs and things like that. So after Adam goes to bed every night and I have a little bit of time to myself, that's my relaxed time. And I think everybody should do that. You find something that, you know, relaxes you, that makes you happy, and make yourself a little box with all that stuff in it and take time to do that every day.
How do you stick a podcast into a box?
I don't know how you stick a podcast into a box. Put the computer in a box?
For me, taking walks. That's my time. Yeah. It lets me sort my thoughts, lets me get my emotions in check. It's real good for check-in for myself, and really good to go ahead and have that, like, God, what do they call it? The mindfulness as I'm walking too. It's really awesome.
I actually use your playlist when I have a Bluetooth speaker, and I put that on there, and I was like, okay, I've got, you know, half an hour that I'm going to take, and it's going to be me, and I'm going to chill. That's
about 10% of my playlist.
I know. But see, it's so diverse. I haven't heard the same song twice when I hit those shuffle buttons. So
nice. Yeah, it's so everybody knows, I actually have a playlist that I made on Apple Music. It's a chill music playlist. I play it actually when everybody jumps on before the show, so we have something to kind of listen to while we chit-chat before we go live. 77 songs. It is, what did I say? It was like 6 hours and 50-something minutes, or 7 hours and 50-something minutes. It's huge. It is absolutely huge.
It's a huge playlist.
Yeah, and shuffle is the greatest thing on that because, yeah, you can listen to it like for so long before you ever get a repeat. And every time I hear another chill song, I'm like, yep, add it. Yep, add it. So it'll probably be like over 130 songs by the end of the year.
It's more organized than mine.
Oh, it's not organized. I just drop it in there. Like, if you were to hit play and listen to it straight, you'll get blocks of the same artist that like last for an hour.
Yeah, like I listen to a lot of different genres, which like it's a good and bad thing because it'll be very peaceful for me. I think I have like almost 2K songs or something on there, so I'm like, I could go to sleep to this, but the problem, it's so random, so my husband can't. 1 minute it's that nice chill music, and the next it's like techno or metal, and he's like, how are you listening to like all these drums and screaming? And I'm like, it's relaxing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's like, I
routinely fall asleep to Metallica.
Okay, now honestly, the Rockabye Baby lullaby renditions of Metallica are freaking amazing.
They really are. But I mean, I fall asleep listening to just Metallica, not necessarily always the lullaby version.
I've fallen asleep to March of the Pigs by Nine Inch Nails. If you can fall asleep to that, you can fall asleep to almost anything. But it's like I can see other people like
Manson.
I can see other people like, how are you falling asleep to Drowning Pool's bodies? They're literally screaming, let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm going to hit the floor now.
Exactly. And I still maintain that Let the Bodies Hit the Floor and It's Raining Men are the same song from two different perspectives.
I have to agree. Now, honestly, if you happen to have Apple Music, there are two absolutely amazing playlists that are super relaxing too. Metal for Yoga and Metal for Yoga 2.
Oh, those are awesome too.
They are. It's like it's definitely metal, and some of it's that like that dual tempo thing, where it sounds really fast, but it has that slower groove to it. If you listen to metal, you might like those if you have Apple Music.
I low key have this hatred for Apple, unfortunately, ever since like they erased all my songs when I had a new update one time.
No!
No.
Yeah, I got like an iPod. Oh, I had all my music on my iPod, and then they're like, "Would you like to update?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And then it literally just like glitched or something, and like all the songs erased. But thankfully, I had the files, so I managed to salvage like 2/3 of the songs. But after that, I'm just like low key hatred for Apple.
I can understand that. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I can understand that.
Yeah, I still use an iPod because I have so many songs, but like I just don't use any other Apple products.
Yeah, like I just went ahead and looked for Metal for Yoga, and they actually have metal love songs too.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Death Metal Santa and Friends presents a triple Xmas gift for you. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that one out during Christmas this year. My wife's gonna hate it. What are we listening to? It's Christmas music. It sounds really awful. I mean, it's death metal. A lot of people don't like it. Nah, but I mean, honestly, like I still have to say it. I'll say it again. I already said it before. I want to be like your husband when I grow up.
Yeah, same.
But I'm not gonna grow up, so it's not gonna happen.
I'm still striving to be the better person like he is.
Oh, and you know that he's doing it too.
I don't think I'll ever grow up in my plushie collection.
I got one on the couch.
Yep. It's like, I mean,
I have many more. There are many penguins floating around my house.
Yeah, she's all about the penguins.
Oh,
and then there's my video game collection. So yeah, I think I have like almost every Nintendo ever. Do
you have River City Ransom?
I don't think I have that game, but I do have like all of my systems. Is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
I still have my original Nintendo that works. My Super Nintendo, my GameCube, my Nintendo 64. I have a Wii. I have a Switch. I have a 3DS. I have a Game Boy Color. I have an original Game Boy.
I have an original Game Boy too, with the contrast style on the side.
Yeah.
But if anyone touches it, you kill them. Because now it's going to take me an hour just to get it dialed in just right again.
I love my Nintendo Switch. I will say that it is.
We're planning
really
on getting
fun.
one very soon.
My
very
son
fun.
Got one, and I'm just recently learning how to use it because I've always been a Game Boy or a GameCube and a Game Boy person. So I'm like, I love the Game Boy, the GameCube controller. So here I am playing the Switch. I'm just like, this is just a rip-off controller.
No. Click. Here we go. I have actual controllers for my Switch.
Nice.
Now you just gave Boa something to go for.
Yeah, I think like what we did was we got one of those GameCube adapters and used it for the Switch. But then like one of our friends gave us the Switch controller, and I'm trying to learn how to play Pokemon Shield on it, and I'm just like, this is different. I still haven't figured out how to successfully turn on and off the Switch, but I'm getting there. This is where I'm like, wow, I feel so old. Like, gosh.
All right, so I got to ask you, since you have a GameCube and you love your GameCube, please tell me you've played Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem.
No, I haven't. I'm very basic. I was really into the Mario games.
I don't know what it is about the Mario games are like the best. As cheesy as that sounds, they've always made them great.
I love me some Mario.
I am a living legend with Mario Party. I'm the undefeated champion in this household.
Yeah, I probably couldn't compete. But I will whoop somebody in Mortal Kombat.
Probably.
But see, this is my jam, though. I am a total Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I've always wondered, about Legend of Zelda. What's the name of the princess?
You know as well as I do that it's Zelda.
Ha ha! Funny, E. Stop with that bad joke. You're terrible. Ooh, DeVern's back. He said Donkey Kong Country is better.
I love Donkey Kong Country. I actually have that.
We actually have the Donkey Kong game with the bongos. for the GameCube.
Oh,
That game is
that's
so much
awesome.
fun! Oh my god!
so much fun.
We have to clap over the microphone to do certain actions too. Oh my god, that game is so much fun.
I am really super excited because they're going to release Skyward Sword for the Switch. And I have it for my Wii. But I can't wait to play it like handheld.
Nice. Yeah, all I know is that I've been told that if I get the Switch, there are 2 games I absolutely must have. Octopath Traveler and Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god, Breath of the Wild is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is amazing. But if you like melee type stuff, seriously, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity.
I'm not a huge hack and slash person, but some of them are like... I love God of War because God of War had so many puzzles in it.
Also, Luigi's Mansion. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. We have to get that because my daughter is absolutely addicted to watching the playthroughs on that. And, you know, she's 5 years old, and it's like it's a passion for her.
And my son was addicted when he got it.
Mario Kart. Gotta have Mario Kart.
Yeah, and DeVern was just naming off some more of the Donkey Kong games, like Tropical Freeze, Returns 2, and the first one. Those are the best Donkey Kong countries. Man, we're gonna have some fighting over here pretty soon about what's the better games.
I will stand by my Legend of Zelda because it's my absolute favorite game ever.
Have you actually beat the original, the gold cartridge?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Because I hate when people are like, you know, especially like in our cohort, you know, age-wise, that had these as kids, and they're like, oh yeah, I love Legend of Zelda. Did you ever beat the original? No.
Yes,
okay,
I did. I played that game. I died so many times.
Yeah, either you had to watch someone beat it. You either had to watch someone beat it in order to beat it, or you had to have like the Nintendo Power Guide, because there were some areas that they didn't give shit for clues. You just had to go and like, okay, let's drop a bomb here and see what happens. Nope.
Right.
Okay, let's go drop a bomb here and see what happens. Oh, well, I gotta go find more bombs now. Like, people don't understand how frustrating that first game was if you haven't actually tried to beat it. You just don't understand. It was torture.
Oh, it totally was. And I mean, I still actually, I downloaded that. I bought a copy of it for my 3DS just so I could play through it again.
I actually got a copy of Chrono Trigger on my PS3.
Oh my god, I love that game so much!
Yeah, and there's I can't remember the name of the game. I'm going to have to find it again on smartphones. Made from the core group that made Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. They made one of those. It's a kind of an idle-ish game for your phone and tablets, and they put in so many references to Chrono Trigger. Like, you wind up getting the Frog Knight as one of your party members.
Oh, awesome!
But he has a different name. But he's like, I vaguely remember. Nope, I can't talk about that because contractual reasons. But yeah, it is such a great game, and it's all about the time traveling cat. You're trying to get a time traveling cat in the game.
I am a firm believer that music and video games are excellent for your mental health. So,
oh yeah,
I agree. And a game that has bad music, you just mute it and play good music.
Exactly.
Like, it's a crime to have a great video game with bad music. I would rather play a bad game with good music than a good game with bad music. Seriously. I'm
kind of playing a game solely for the music right now, but for a while, I was like, I'm not a gamer. I don't consider myself a gamer because I play really like casual games. So my husband's like, you play games? Any type of games? You're a gamer.
Yes.
Yes.
You just may not be a hardcore gamer, but you're a gamer.
Yeah, so, because I'm like, most of the games I play are kind of escape from reality type of games. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to just be a farmer or just be
Animal Crossing is great for that.
So is Stardew Valley.
I finished Stardew Valley. I got married and everything in there. My husband's like, "You're replacing me."
They They just released a major update to Stardew Valley. It's not on mobile yet, but on like the consoles and for PC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Basically, there's new end game content. So now when you normally end the game, that's just the beginning of the next half of the game now.
Yeah, I got to one of those like hard points where I'm like, wow, this is so casual and relaxing. I thought I beat everything, and they're like, here's another mine. And I go in and I get instantly deleted.
Oh, the skull mine, right?
Yeah, like in that desert place. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna take a break. This isn't casual anymore.
Yeah, it's like you have to get to the 100th floor. How?
Yeah,
I get nuked on the 5th floor, and I already have like the best gear possible. How?
Like, I don't really feel like grinding, so yeah, I think I'm gonna take a break from Stardew for a bit.
So the trick to beating that in order to unlock the casino and everything is you have to bring bombs with you and the stone staircases with you, and the goal is you just try to drop as fast as you can.
Oh shit, that's hard. Yeah, I think I managed to drop to like the 35th level or something, and then I kept walking and dying. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can do this.
You should have seen me. You should have seen me the first time I was on a surface rock, and I had already gotten down far enough in the first mine to get the prism shards, and I got 2 prism shards out of a regular rock on my own farm. I was like, yes!
Yeah, my son's like me. We're just like, if it's too hard, we're not doing this.
Yeah, right now my addiction is a cross between Albion Online, Oxygen Not Included, and because it was on sale, I got myself Planet Coaster, and now I'm kind of replicating some of the crazy stuff that Let's Game It Out does on their stuff, and it's really, really fun. Torturing people. I made a roller coaster that was so scary and so nauseating that not a single person rode it in like 4 hours. Everybody just turned around. Most of them walked up to it, turned, and ran.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I found the one that actually uses magnets and hydraulics to launch things, so you can put little magnetic parts throughout the track to keep the cart going. Yeah, that was fun. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and get you shooting straight up in a spiral for one segment. Okay, let's level out a little bit and catch those magnets, get you back up to 60 miles an hour, and shoot straight up again. Okay, you are now so far up that you're probably getting nosebleeds. Let's go straight down in a constant spiral. And then we're going to do a loop that puts you loop straight into the ground. And then you go underground and have the outward loop where you're on the outside of the track for the loop. Hope you're strapped in. Yeah, you know, honestly, it's been... Wow, this show's actually has a lot longer than I thought it was. We're already at 2 hours, almost 2 hours and 10 minutes now. Or 2 hours and 5 minutes so far.
Well, does anybody in the chat have any questions or anything?
I don't even know how many people are left. It's been kind of a revolving door. I'm kind of surprised there weren't a lot of questions. But there was definitely love being sent in there. I mean, we had...
Oh, definitely tons of it.
Yes, we started out with May from the Porch Drunkies. We had Kat. We had Devern. Devern left. Devern came back. Kat left. We had 4 in there for a little bit. Am I missing anybody?
I think there's been some lurkers because I see that someone liked the episode, but they don't have like a profile picture or anything. So,
and that's fine. Thank you for lurking.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yep, 4 and Devern is still in there. Yeah, Devern said, honest, no, I never had a question in the moment I was listening. Rare, I know, but yeah, it is rare. Before I responded back, no. Yeah, I mean, you tell the way that you told the story is really good, really complete. And I still find it funny because you're like, wow, I haven't really thought about this in a long time, and boom, perfectly organized.
I'm a literature major, so I'm really like nitpicky with like small details. Also an extensive like Yelp reviewer. I'm like, yeah, to give you the full like experience, I'll try to recall what I can remember, but I can't remember where I put my glasses to save my life sometimes.
Yeah.
I do that and they're usually on my head.
Oh god, sometimes it's like right in front of me on a black desk and my glasses are black and I'm like, I can't find them and my husband's like, they're right in front of you. I'm like, well, I'm a little blind.
I purposely bought colored glasses so I could find them easily, like when they're laying on a table. I have purple frames and bright pinkish red frames and I still lose them. I'm like, where are they? I can't see anything. Like, my close-up vision is great, but it's my distance that so I can't see anything.
Yeah, I'm nearsighted as well.
I can't.
So,
I can't.
yeah,
see
I'll be like, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? They're freaking on my head all the time.
I think the worst is like when you go, where are my keys? And you do the gesture with your hands outwards, and they jingle.
Oh, no. The worst is when you're talking to somebody on the phone while you're looking for your phone.
Oh,
And they don't tell you.
Oh, I wouldn't tell you either if I had that.
Idiot, you're on your phone.
But then again, I'm also the one that if you have me on your speakerphone, like through Bluetooth, in your car, and you go to a drive-thru and you say happen to go to Taco Bell, I'll order you a side of dysentery. So yeah, always have me on very low volume or mute if you're in a drive-thru and I'm on the phone with you because
See, honestly, more people don't realize this, but honestly, when I put people on speakerphone and I'm up doing things around the house, most of the time you're tucked into my boobs with the speaker pointing up. I'm just like, yeah, there you go. That's what they're there for. They hold things.
Awesome.
When they're not trying to kill me.
Yeah, they I can attest they actually do try to kill her.
Oh, I'm sure.
She fell out of bed because she was drugged down by the weight of them.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
gosh.
seriously. Drugged down by all of that. That's happened twice. It's not just a one-time thing. They've repeatedly tried to kill me.
I bet.
So you should rename them Stewies.
I actually call them Crime and Punishment, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, God. So yeah, Boa, seriously, thank you for coming on. I'm so glad that you shared the story. I know it's not the best part of life to have to go through again. I've done it for the podcast myself. But it kind of does help put a little more perspective on things. Especially when you can look back on it with a critical eye and go, okay, when those people were saying that you have your whole life in front of you, some of them actually were probably trying to be helpful. Didn't seem so at the moment. It seemed more like just patronizing and just, oh, we're going to help you get through this. Now, move over there. But I really hope that you do see a lot more value in it as you distance yourself through time over it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was weird talking about myself because I don't normally do. I'm more of a writer than a talker. So it was nice to have listeners as well as you being a good conversationalist because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not a nervous wreck as I think I am.
Yeah, that's something that we're good at.
Honestly, it was an absolute pleasure to listen to you tell your story, and
yes,
I had tears a couple times. So yeah, my streak continues. I still cry almost every podcast.
Well, thank you for being good listeners.
Hey, well, thank you for being a great guest. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
It takes
This was an amazing show. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of heart to do that.
It does.
It really does.
And you never know. Your show might reach someone and they may change their mind and stick around. That's kind of an awesome thing to think about, that can happen.
And this podcast is actually proof we've had somebody who has told us, we've been credited with saving a life, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I keep doing it. I was so tired today. I crashed out after work. My alarm was going off, and I'm looking at I'm like,
oh no.
The start time's in 2 minutes. I can still lay down for one more minute.
I think I literally slept the whole day, and thankfully I woke up an hour or two, and I was just like, I feel like I had something happen going on today. And I was like, wow, I did overslept.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny because I can tell if I'm like a minute late because I'll like if it's like 1 minute late, I'm getting messages from the co-host from the guys. Hey, everything okay?
Is everything okay?
Were you supposed to be here?
Yeah,
I was like, I did that today because I was like, okay, it's this time and I haven't gotten a message, and I'm like, what's going on?
Did you see what the Vern just dropped in the chat?
Oh my god, no, hang on, let me get back there. My chat's being stupid, so I can't see it.
New podcast, Boob Talk with Bexy. We seriously have the greatest listeners. I mean, from all
really
walks
do.
of life, from all different senses of humor and all that, but everyone gets along. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, that's an interesting idea, but how long can I seriously talk about how they tried to kill me?
True, but you have a male here. We could talk about it for supposedly for hours on end, because some people honestly believe that's all that guys talk about. It really isn't. We talk about a lot of shit. But it is
true.
It is a favorite topic.
This is true. That's an idea.
All right, again, Boa, thank you very much. I hope that you find time to keep listening. Maybe see you in chat. Maybe we'll get you back on sometime.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll probably need like a link to watch or something.
Yeah, I can send you links. Not a problem.
Okay.
And there's no video. It's just audio. We're like the
yeah.
typical podcast in that way.
Cool.
All right. So everybody, follow us, like us, share. And we'll be back next week. Until then, I'm E.
And I'm Bexy.
And we'll catch you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.